empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order Quarterback Flip Edition. We have some movement on the quarterback front in the 2023 class. Brock Glenn is out. He's off to Florida State. I can tell you about our brand new quarterback that's coming to this class. I believe it was a appreciate your interest, go ahead and move on type deal. I don't think that this kid just flipped on us. I think it was an upgrade in our situation. So Nevadabuck had this before anybody in the space. He has some great contacts in the Pacific Northwest. So he nailed this one. We had the nugget out first on Buckeye Scoop. So we're going to get into that, and I'm going to go right to the guy that broke it. But first, as always, we're thankful for you guys. We're grateful for you guys. We have just a fantastic run going right now on BuckeyeScoop.com. We appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys for always tuning into our content. If you enjoy this, leave us a like. We're going to go into the film room and watch a new quarterback, Lincoln Kienholz. He is a kid from South Dakota. Big kid, gunslinger, fantastic athlete, ran for over 1,400 yards, threw for about 4,000 in South Dakota. He's a kid that a lot of teams want. He's rising. He's kind of that placeholder. I don't want to call him a placeholder, but when you have Dylan Raiola coming in, taking a quarterback in the 2023 class is kind of like defusing a bomb. You can't go out and get some superstar because, again, it could upset the apple cart with Dylan Raiola. But we appreciate you guys. As you watch the film, please comment down below. Who does he remind you of? You're going to get to watch 7 minutes of film with us so you can see big arm, strong kid, great athlete, great baseball player, probably going to be a Major League Baseball draft pick. So we'll get into that. But as always, thank you guys for enjoying this content. Leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, and also shout out where you're from in the content. That's one of my favorite things. I always love seeing where you listeners are from. With that being said, bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Lots of movement on the recruiting front. Like you said, a quarterback decommit, which wasn't a decommit. Let's just be really clear. Ohio State was moving on. I mean, a lot of times teams say that. They'll be like, oh, no, we didn't want him anyway. We were moving on. But this really was a case where it was decided for both parties' best interest that he move on to Florida State. And Ohio State was going to look, in another direction. And that's what happened today. We had the big decommit. And then we have the word that Lincoln and his family are coming in this weekend, taking in the Ohio State-Michigan game. And, as you mentioned, he's a late riser on the recruiting board. So you got that big Washington offer. He committed to Washington, and then all heck broke loose with his recruiting. Everybody else was in on him now. Everybody else kind of got to look at him. And when you see this kid, he's something special. He's from a small school place that's not really known for a lot of great high school football. But this guy's just a tremendous athlete, a tremendous basketball player, a tremendous baseball player. And as you mentioned, a dual threat quarterback who can do a little bit of everything. And Ohio State's really high on him, really going to make a pitch to him to try to get him in. And he's a guy that they've got an excellent chance of landing. And I'm excited to watch the tape and share it with all the viewers.
Yeah, and we're going to go right into the film just because it is a fun watch. He is a monster out here. This is small ball, South Dakota, but he dominates. He's a dominant kid, obviously. You see the big arm right off the bat. Nice field, too. Good God. They got some oil money out there, I guess. This is about more what I expected from the field. Tall grass, it looks like. But Nevada, you see a couple different quarterbacks. Who do you compare him to? What does he look like to you? Again, he's a big kid. Again, and it's a weird situation when you take a kid like Dylan Raiola, number one player in his class. He'd be the number one player in this class. He's a phenom. I don't think you can really go after another phenom in this class and keep Dylan Raiola because their depth chart watching this is how it is. But who does he remind you of? Maybe from an Ohio State standpoint and then even an NFL standpoint.
Well, it's kind of one and the same for me. The guy that he brings right to mind for me when I watch him. I can't help think of Joe Burrow. Obviously, again, before the people start yelling, no, I'm not saying he's as good as Joe Burrow. I'm saying he reminds me of Joe Burrow. He plays the game the same way. He's a very heady player. He's from a football family. You know, the relatives up and down the line have played at all levels, major college football, a little bit of NFL football. He plays like a coach on the field. He's super athletic. He's super competitive. He can play wide receiver. He can plays defense. He returns kicks. I mean, he does it all up there. And again, he's got that kind of that swagger, that hard nosed approach to the game like Joe does. And that's when I was watching. That was the first thought. I was like, man, you know, Ohio State. We had Joe Burrow. He went on to LSU, but maybe we get a second shot, second bite at the apple with Joe Burrow the second here in the form of Lincoln. And for me, it's a really apt comparison.
Yeah, and I always think it's interesting when people talk about Joe Burrow because, you know, when he was getting recruited in high school, great kid, but nobody's like, oh, I can't wait for him to be a $50 million a year quarterback in the NFL, number 1 overall pick, savior to the franchise. And he's a guy that we literally let walk in favor of Dwayne Haskins, which again, in the moment was the correct decision. They were pretty equal talent-wise, but Dwayne was a year younger eligibility-wise. But, you know, it's hard to project that Dwayne's going to start 1 year and throw 50 touchdowns and go pro. So it's easier for people to look back and say, well, we should have kept Burrow. But, you know, if everything's equal, you take the guy that's a year younger. So that is kind of what it boiled down to. And Dwayne, you know, his 1 year that he started at Ohio State, he was absolutely magnificent. Maybe the best thrower I've ever seen in an Ohio State uniform. I love, you know, I'm an old school guy. I love the dual threat quarterbacks. I think that it makes it miserable to defend. I think it's really a pain on defenses. Nevada, what are your thoughts on a guy that can run and scramble and break the defense's back by being able to go get some chunk yard plays when there's really nothing there?
Well, I think this is kind of an evolution in Ryan Day's thinking about the position too. I think Ryan Day had been looking just exclusively almost for throwers, and I think now he's kind of changed his position on this. And I think you were seeing it how it manifests itself in the Ohio State offense, where they're assigning more some read and run responsibilities to C.J. Stroud, their potential Heisman winning quarterback. You look at every major college team in the country right now; they all run the quarterback to some varying degree. And I think it's kind of opened Ryan Day's eyes because I think he wanted to get away from that. He was concerned about the hits the quarterbacks were taking, concerned about having your quarterback get injured. But now I think he's seen, you know, kind of how effective that can be. And this is where a kid like Lincoln fits right into it. He's a big time thrower, but he's athletic as heck and can run and get those yards for you either by design or by scramble. And as you said, those are the yards that break a defense's backs when you break contain on a 3rd down and 7 and scramble for a 1st down. You know, those are the ones where the defenses couldn't account for you, and it's really, you know, demoralizing for them to face that. And I think, you know, Ryan, this is a gentle step in that direction that Ryan's looking for those dual threat kids. He's already got one on the roster there in Devin Brown, and I think this is the second one, and could be the start of something that we see more and more from the Ryan Day's offenses going forward.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, watching Justin Fields and what he's done this year in the NFL for the Chicago Bears in the NFL, that is big boy football. That is men. And Justin, excuse me, being a runner has changed the entire dynamic of the Chicago Bears. That was a team that was dead in the water, trying to make him into a pocket passer. And again, I've never understood why someone would try to make Justin Fields into just a one-dimensional pocket guy when he's the fastest guy on every field that he steps onto. So it's like, don't you want to make the defense think about his legs a little bit? Don't you think that'll open up the passing game a little bit when a guy can take off and run for a 68-yard touchdown in the National Football League? Like, Justin is one of the greatest athletes in Ohio State history easily, and he is a tough son of a bee because that guy, you see some of these goal line runs, he gets in there, and you don't want to take all these kill shots, but you know, when you're lowering the shoulder and scoring a touchdown when the team needs it, like that just shoots this bolt of energy into the entire organization, the entire sideline. Your offensive linemen want to go to war for you because you're not back there being pompous and pretty and soft. I mean, that, you know, you go take some of those shots Justin takes. I mean, he's a tough kid. He's a really tough kid. And again, he's playing quarterback, you know, as good as anybody in terms of his value to the team. It's as high as anybody in the league. It's almost like a Josh Allen level. And he reminds me of Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a fantastic runner. He's on the best team in the NFL right now. And, you know, I think that it just makes your life miserable as a defensive coordinator when you have a guy who's that big, that strong, that good of an arm, and then he can go take off and run for 15 yards, 20 yards, or he can, even if he goes and gets 7 yards, like 2nd and 3 is way different from 2nd and 10, or, he can go convert on 3rd down when you've got the perfect call, the perfect coverage, your defensive lines that got perfect rush lanes, good pass rush, and he still steps up and makes it. Like, that is, I can't even tell you how deflating that is for a sideline, for a defense. And that's why I was grateful I played with Troy Smith, because Troy Smith put us on his back in 04, 05, and 06. He was the greatest quarterback in the history of the game against Michigan, because that was a time when Michigan still kind of owned us. We beat them in 01, beat them in 02. They beat us in 03. And if we don't win that 04 game, it could kind of swing back to being the 90s again, where Michigan just completely owned us. But Troy wasn't having it. That was the difference between us and Michigan. We had Troy. They didn't. So I love guys that can run. This kid seems like a tough kid, a leader. Nevada, as we wrap this up, tons of visitors coming in. We're going to do a special on Cade Stover's cousin, Garrett. He committed tonight as well. We'll do that. We'll do that one for you guys tomorrow on buckeyescoop.com. Any final thoughts on our newest quarterback commitment, Lincoln Kienholz?
Not a commitment yet. Potential commitment. Guy that we're looking at. Good guy that we're hoping to get a commitment from. But certainly excited about having him in. Bringing the parents in for the game. Like you said, it's going to be a lot of great visitors. We've got Caleb Downs watch. We've got Samson watch. We've got all sorts of players coming in from all over the country for this one. And but this is a guy, for whatever reason, I really want to get this kid. I know that we think about the quarterback room and think, oh, we've got this guy, but man, with the transfer portal, things can thin out in a hurry. And I would love just to have a quarterback with this particular skill set, have this kind of the great basketball player, great athletic skills that go along with great quarterbacking skills. Would love to have him be part of the class, and hope he sees fit to break that Washington commitment and become a Buckeye.
Yeah, for me, I'm like you. I think that you have to keep taking these quarterbacks because, let's face it, with Kyle McCord and Devin Brown, the loser of the QB Derby at the end of spring might take off. I think that, what Joe Burrow did, he stayed through spring ball. He competed with Dwayne Haskins, didn't win the job, and, he had to do what was best for him. Went to LSU and, changed his entire trajectory of life. He literally was a guy that could have stayed at Ohio State, been a backup, probably would be working locally in Columbus, would probably be doing some podcasts, whatever. But instead, he went and he competed somewhere, won a national title, became, the son of Louisiana, then came back to Cincinnati as the savior, and, took the Bengals to the Super Bowl. I don't know. Like, I think that when you see that, and even if you go back to when I played in the olden days, Joe Flacco did the same thing. He lost out to Tyler Palko at Pittsburgh, transferred to Delaware State, which it's hilarious when you think about a guy like Joe Flacco, who's made over $200 million in the NFL, has won Super Bowl rings. And he had to go to Delaware State to compete because he couldn't beat out Tyler Palko, which is insane to me. But that's just how it is when you're a quarterback, man. It doesn't matter where you play, but you have to play. You have to go, and you look where Trey Lance has come from, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tony Romo. These guys come from small schools, but they've got film of them throwing the ball. And if you, it's better to be at one of these small schools dominating and getting the attention of NFL GMs and NFL owners than it is to be at a big school like Ohio State just watching. So it's always it's going to be a funny thing for the rest of the time with these quarterbacks. And, will we ever actually see some of these guys make significant throws? Because with Ryan, the one thing I know about Ryan is he's going to do everything he can to get a fantastic quarterback. He went after Malik Willis last year, when Justin went pro, like Malik Willis, who plays for the Tennessee Titans, now ended up going to Liberty. He was in the portal, and we were sniffing around. So I don't think that room's ever going to be settled. I think Ryan is constantly going to be looking for an alpha, an upgrade, and I believe he has that with Dylan Raiola. It'll be interesting to see if Lincoln Kienholz jumps in the boat. All indications are that he is, because if you're committed to Washington and you're taking a visit to Ohio State, Michigan, you're probably not very committed to Washington. And we just so happen to push Brock Glenn out the door to Florida State. So, again, he hasn't done it yet, but all signs point to that happening. Any final thoughts, Nevada? It's Michigan week. The board is absolutely bonkers right now and going crazy. But any final thoughts as we wrap up this week? This is a short work week, too. This is a great message board week for you guys, because a lot of you guys aren't working this week. Some of you guys are only working until Wednesday at noon. Great message board week for us. Final thoughts, Nevada.
Yeah, just so much recruiting stuff happening. Just you got to be checking the board about every hour because guys, new guys coming on the line for this game because everybody wants to be at the Ohio State Michigan game. So definitely a great time to jump on board, try it out for 30 days, see if you enjoy it. But yeah, so much new content coming on, and I was glad to break this Lincoln Kienholz news before anybody else had it. It was a nice little nugget for Buckeye Scoop, and was glad to share it with everybody here on the message board and in YouTube land. So take care, everybody. And again, thanks for everybody for your support.
Appreciate you guys. We're going to wrap this up. Yeah, the fun thing about this is that, we break a lot of news. Nevada's fastball is 108 miles an hour right now, so we're really on top of stuff. We've got a great pulse of what's going on inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Really good stuff. Just love talking ball. We love kind of getting that inside scoop, which is what we're here for. We're the #1 Ohio State website out there right now analytically, and we are having our biggest week ever right now. So if there's ever been a time for you to sign up for BuckeyeScoop.com, give us a try. Promise you'll love it. You guys will be on it, checking it feverishly. It's for the best Ohio State fans only. It's a very well-moderated board, very structured, very friendly. But it's a really sharp board. We have some really great people. I'm very proud of our constituency of people that tune in and check our board. And it's just an absolute gem of a place to hang out. So we appreciate you guys as always. Comment down below. You've seen the film. Who does he remind you of? Lincoln Kienholz, likely to be our 2023 quarterback. Who does he remind you of? I want to see some descriptions. I love your feedback too. Give me some feedback on the episode. Appreciate you guys, and shout out where you guys are from. So as always, we're so thankful for you guys. We're grateful for you guys. We're marching toward Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Still going to be cranking out that content for you guys, so you guys have stuff to watch on Thanksgiving when you're sitting with your family and after you've had your first couple of meals and you're a little bored, you tune into our podcast. So we appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Go Bucks.